Computer says it's 9 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, March 20th to order. If you would rise and join us in the invocation pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this special time of the year, this Easter season. The death and of course, Lord, the resurrection. Let us all today enjoy this beautiful weather, see your natural beauty with the flowers, the trees all budding. I pray for all the individuals in this room, that they have peace and kindness in their hearts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anyone signed up to speak publicly?
Yes, there is. Urban Snyder. Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Kerwin Snyder with FEMA's Intergovernmental Affairs. I believe that one of my team members has spoken to you within the past month, and I just want to provide a quick update on what's going on. To date, in all the affected counties, there have been 557 total registrations, with 141 of them being in Harrison County. I'd like to emphasize that there's less than 2 weeks to apply for assistance. The deadline is April 1st. There's 4 ways to apply. Of course, you have the Disaster Recovery Center, which is across the street. You download the FEMA app, or you can go to disasterassistance.gov. There's also a toll-free number, 1-800-621-3362, that is available from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Harrison County has also been approved for public assistance, which includes houses of worship, private nonprofits, and infrastructure. The portal for that is open. There have been so far 9 requests for public assistance and 6 approved in the 3 counties that are declared. And the deadline for applying for that is Thursday, March. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom? Hearing none, we will move to the consent agenda. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 3, payroll changes A and B. It's a pleasure. Motion to approve number 3, A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 4, minutes and or amended minutes. We have nothing there, it appears.
That is correct.
Requisitions, purchase orders and invoices, A, City of Salem, and B, vendor list of payments. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve A and B, correct? Okay, motion's been made to approve A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. We have no exoneration corrective tickets or joint applications, correct?
That is correct.
Nor we have any, do not have any orders for election orders.
Correct.
Okay, review, discuss, consider budget amendment form, West Virginia Department of Economic Development, Community Development Block Grant. Michelle, you're up.
So this is a grant that we were awarded in 2021, partnered with Central West Virginia Community Action. They did all the work. Originally, it was going to be for people who had been affected, help with mortgages of people who had been affected by COVID. And found out through the first year there was more need in the rental assistance category. So we did a budget amendment a year ago to move the majority of the $75,000 into the rental category from the mortgage category. We had to leave a little bit in mortgage just to make sure that there were no other, mortgages that we're gonna pay. So here, now we're at the end of this grant. The last payable for community action is, it was in today's payables for approximately $30,000, which we will be reimbursed for from the state. And we just need to do this budget amendment, $437 from the mortgage category into the rental category, just to cover those expenses, make everything nice and neat. So that's what this is. And as soon as this is signed, we'll send this in. Get a copy of the check that we're paying to community action, and we'll get reimbursed.
Motion approved the amendment.
Motion to approve the amendment under number 8. Is there any discussion or questions of Michelle? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, it's 9:05 and we have a hearing concerning delinquent or unprogressed estates for closing. I don't have it here, but. And these are estates that are over 3 years and nobody's done anything with them, so we can move to close these administrative. Correct?
It's just a process to be approved. So that's.
Okay, what's the pleasure?
Motion approved the process.
Motion to approve the process and enter the proper documentation with proper signatures, correct? Okay. Any discussion?
People involved in that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, number 9, review, discuss, consider request to travel, Robert Leonard, Planning Department, West Virginia Chapter of International Fire Marshals Association for April 10th and 11th of this year. He's traveling to the Benedum Civic Center in Bridgeport. It's a pleasure. Motion to approve travel for Mr. Leonard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Review, discuss, consider allotting $75,000 to Harrison Clarksburg Health Department for Narcan out of the opioid funds. Chad, would you like to speak or? Either one of you, it doesn't matter.
That's Rick Whaley from the Harrison County Ambulance come today too. If you have any questions on data specific, the county, of course, they're roots on the ground.
Is that microphone on? I could hear him loud and clear, but I couldn't hear Michelle well, and I don't hear Chad Douglas. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, Chad.
Bottom line is we continue to have a huge opioid issue in Harrison County. And one of the first things we wanted to do in discussions with this opioid funding is $75,000 for Narcan is twofold. Number one, we want every first responder to have that available to them. First, be able to protect each other. So they can contact that. So that's the second part. Obviously, we want them to be able to respond to anyone who has an opioid to the community and of course, so. Well, it's on lit up, so thank you. So those are the two pieces of that, as far as Narcan is concerned. We talked to Director Way as well, as far as how to purchase that. We have found in the past, different first responders are permitted to use different levels of the Narcan. So we have to purchase different, potentially for the fire, different for the EMS potentially, as far as what those are with the magnitude of that pharmaceutical is for them. So we'll look into that as well. We've looked at the last 12 months as far as the opioid response calls. They had 215, I think that's correct. And we had discussion about that, and we think that could be as high as 300. Some of those calls are maybe misrepresented, whether it's cardiac or whatever, but it started as an opioid issue, those type of things. So that's obviously very significant in Harrison County and something that needs done. As far as the Narcan, depending on what type we get, it has a shelf life of about 2 to 3 years, depending on what it is. If it's any kind of retail or even wholesale, you're looking at between $40 and $60 a dose. But if we would work through Harrison County EMS or another partner, potentially we could get that at a much better rate. We might be able to talk about that. What you're getting at.
Good morning.
Identify yourself, Jeff. Sorry.
Deputy Director Jeff Way from Harris County Emergency Squad. And I deal directly with the purchasing and the boots on the ground for our agency. As Chad alluded to, we do buy bulk, everything we buy. We're buying for all the agencies in the county anyways. We use a vending machine to dispense those kind of items. And we can get a pretty good savings on what we use, not the civilian or other responder dosages of Narcan, but what we're using. So it's a quarter of the cost of what retail is. But there is some availability issues, like anything else that we hear of nowadays. So if we find it and you could buy it bulk, you probably need to move with it. So we haven't found ourselves in a shortage buying what we use, but if you expand it out to law enforcement, fire, that's a greater volume. So there could become issues with getting it. So we haven't seen that, like I said, but it could become an issue.
Just need to be prepared.
Yeah. And Chad is correct. A lot of times the calls that we get could go out as like cardiac arrest, a person down, and nobody would know why, and it is an overdose. So that call would not be categorized as an overdose in dispatch. So we're comfortable with that 300 number. And that's for all the agencies in Harrison County. It's not just us. So, and we dispensed through our vending machines, we dispensed just over 300 doses of Narcan, just to the ambulances last year. So.
Can you give us a closer idea what the cost is?
Right now, today, if we bought, I can get a sleeve, which is 10 doses for $94 of what we use. And that's administered IV or IM with an injection. So obviously that's nothing for civilian or fire or law enforcement. They're not gonna be able to do that.
And you're supplying to fire departments or just other
Other EMS.
EMS?
Mhm.
And Chad, you're gonna be supplying to,
We'd be supplied to everybody. So all first responders would be in the county. So whether that be in a municipality as well. So that would be fire, police, EMS. If we have the funds to do it, we'd even like to work into the volunteer fire departments and basically any first responders to make sure they had Narcan on hand.
so you would be supplying them and you wouldn't have to buy them. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
You would be supplying to the squad, to Jeff, and he wouldn't have to buy them anymore?
He would take care of his own. We would be supplying directly to the first responders outside of Harrison County EMS. Reason he's here and the reason I asked him to be here is if we could purchase it at that discount through the volume with Harrison County EMS, then we would.
Okay, I guess I'm confused. You're going through around 300 up here, right?
Yeah.
And you're going through how many a year from the health department?
Is that 300 a year? Okay.
Because we're talking about buying 7,000 doses. That's where I'm.
And that's what we
Work.
use, not what's
Yeah.
on the shelf, not what's in the ambulances. Because we carry 4 doses in every ambulance, every response vehicle.
He's talking about response to overdose calls, and I'm talking about putting it in every first responder's pocket in Harrison County, all the way down to potentially volunteer fire department. So it's available when it's needed, either for the first responder and or the call that they go on. So that's the difference.
And Gary, has this been in front of your group?
Chad's on that group. This was from the conversation. in the original conversation. Yeah, I mean, the group's talked about it, it's the original conversation before we had it. We haven't begun our deliberations on what we're getting to this. The three first pillar started. And the big issue is with, like you said, first responder, that's where I come in. We know that police, we should be concerned about police officers. First responders, so we deal with just downstairs in community corrections. Their spending comes into our building, so I'm concerned about the police. Yeah, we did discuss it. This is kind of before we got to look at recommendations. Supported by.
I guess, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm just trying to figure out who we should be writing money to. Whether it's the health department or whether it's Jeff and his group, who looks to me like both parties need money to support this, and I'm not sure why we're writing such a big check to purchase a big lot instead of doing it over a 2 or 3 annual basis. And at 25,000 a year, it sounds to me like that's still gonna buy a lot of doses of medicine, and that way we're not shelving it for years. What's that? Yeah, so I mean, that would be.
With the $75,000, the amount that you would spend, I think what maybe he's getting to, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, is any of this going to expire before you use it? And then we're just,
We would look at all of that. So, as far as when we purchase it, how we distribute it.
Well, if
My
we-
understanding, depending on the dosage of it and shelf life is between that 2 and 3 years. So that hasn't been an issue in the past where it is, because that runs out and then you have to replace it. So we would maximize that based on the dosage and what first responder would need for that.
And if
We
did-
don't have much spoil.
Yeah, I
just-
mean, 25,000 ought to get you about 2,000 doses a year. That's,
And again, what we use to administer to a patient in the field is different than a self-administered. It's almost like a nose spray.
right,
Those are priced way different than what I use in the field. So, and I'm not versed to speak to the price of those at all.
so Chad, what you're saying, do you think any of these would outlive if we were to do the whole $75,000, do you think that would outlive its shelf life?
Well, what's different from the EMS as well is the health department, fortunate to have an emergency manager on staff. We're gonna go out and train all of
Right.
those folks as well. So we're gonna, everybody want to have the expertise of EMS. We're gonna have to train the police officer. We're gonna train those folks. So there's time involved in that and this and that, but no dollars will be spent for that. We're fortunate to be recipients of the Vital Services Levy, and we thank the commission for pushing that forward. So we're able to do whatever is necessary, including front of money if we need to, and invoice as far as what we purchase as far as Narcan, if that's a concern as well.
No, I mean, that's my only concern. I don't want to buy all this Narcan and then it go bad
Right.
before you use it. That's the only,
can we do 325s, and if we see they're running out, move that up, so that way if he's not using it, that extends it potentially up to 3 years. We don't have to worry about it going bad.
my only other question would be, the more, the less. The more you buy, the less it is. Is that,
Right. And that's an excellent idea. If you would consider earmarking that $75,000 and you can distribute it to us, or we can spend the money over the period of time.
I
But
think that's.
as
that-
it-
I
as
can-
it
yeah,
expires,
go
then
ahead
we
and do
could
the whole
purchase more and keep it
$75,000.
further going.
Just
Yeah.
earmark it. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to cut I'll even take it to 100 if you want to earmark it over the years. By the 3rd year, whatever they buy, if it's got a shelf life of 3 or 4 years, we're now. That's
Right.
6 years that we're,
Then
Yeah, let's
We're
go ahead and
good.
do exactly. Motion approved, $75,000 with money allocated as needed.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yes, sir.
25,000 a year, if that's all right, if you pass it.
And if they.
Yeah, we can come back to you all
Come
and
back.
you
If
can give you
need more,
report
you come
date back on the
back.
year and
Give you 10, right?
when things might expire.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the $75,000 and allocate $25,000 a year for the next 3 years, but if you need more, you can come back and ask for it, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Great idea.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patsy. Thank you, Susan.
Good idea.
Okay, it's now 9:20. And we have a 9:15 proclamation and special funding request for the American Red Cross.
Good morning, commissioners, fellow residents. My name is Michelle Duez, and I'm standing here
Oh.
for you today as a volunteer with the American Red Cross. As many of you may know, that March is Red Cross Month. It's been an annual tradition of recognition at the federal level since FDR's first proclamation. Many public bodies across the nation follow suit, which thank you for having me here today. And we appreciate your annual support. Excuse me. My allergies, Patsy mentioned all the blooms. It's also allergy season. I just want to share with you some of the things that the Red Cross does with your support. In 2023, 964 units of life-saving blood were collected at 37 drives held throughout our county. We have some upcoming drives coming in Bridgeport and Clarksburg, including April 10th at both West Virginia Fitness 24s and the Benedum Civic Center. April 16th at the IBEW Local 596. April 24th at the Nutter Fort Fire Department and the Benedum Center. May 20th at the Bible Baptist Temple and May 24th at the Knights of Columbus. Excuse me. We have in 2023, we had 55 case services provided through our services to the Armed Forces program, many of which were emergency communications, whereby the Red Cross acts as the agency, responsible for verifying a service member's family has experienced an emergency and should be excused for service for a period. 14 families in Harrison County were provided recovery services in the aftermath of a disaster, which most were home fires. Our volunteers are there to ensure clients have immediate needs met, whether it be shelter, clothing, food, replacement of lost medications, eyeglasses, and emotional support. We seek to be the best part of someone's worst day and help them recover. Another note about our disaster cycle services program: on April 27th, we will partner with the Nutter Fort Fire Department and we install free smoke alarms to area homes. And I personally help with that. And it is so rewarding, and it's surprising how many people actually don't have life-saving fire alarms. Also, finally, in 2023, 1,301 CPR first aid course completions were provided through the year to help ensure our community members are better prepared in a medical emergency. So it's these things and more that with your support, we're able to help our citizens. So thank you so much, and we ask for your continued support.
Michelle, the only thing you throw in the office was the 2720. We're giving you 3,000.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
that was
thank
my-
you. Even better.
Those reminded our booking systems.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And you also held a blood drive last year, which I didn't thank you for. So we appreciated that. And
Yeah.
thank you.
The motion on the floor is for $3,000. President.
Okay, motion to approve $3,000. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Thank
We
you
have
so
a
much.
proclamation to present to you too. I think this is the first one. And I apologize to the estate. Skip over.
See you.
Whereas during American Red Cross Month in March, we recognize the sacrifice of people of West Virginia and reaffirm our commitment to help ensure no one faces a crisis of life. Whereas the generous spirit was woven into the fabric of our community and advances the legacy of American Red Cross founder Claire Parks. one of the most honored women in our country's history, who nobly dedicated herself to alleviating suffering, and whereas today kind-hearted individuals in our community exemplify artist commitment as they provide a beacon of hope for our neighbors in need through their voluntary and selfless contributions they make a life-saving difference in people's life establishment. Whether it's delivering shelter, food, and comfort for each other, providing critical blood donations for hospital patients, for the military families, veterans, and caregivers through the unique challenges of service, saving lives with first aid, CPR, and others. For delivering aid and reconnecting loved ones separated by global crisis. And whereas last year in Harrison County, the American Red Cross of Allegheny Highlands Chapel assisted 14 families impacted by the fires, collecting 964 units of blood at Great Seven Drive, provided 55 case services to military members and families, and conducted CPR first aid training to over 1,000 people. And whereas the Harrison County Commission recognizes this month of March in honor of all those who led with their hearts to serve people in need, and we ask everyone to keep in the community to strengthen their community. Now therefore, be it resolved, Harrison County Commission dedicates March 2024 as Red Cross Month to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the place of emergency. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on volunteers and the generosity of the public to promote its mission. Passed by the Commission of Harrison County this day, the 20th day of March. Okay, I skipped over the 910 estate hearing. Accept a copy of the lost will of Mary Reed. Is there somebody here regarding that? Or on Zoom?
Is it Mary Reed or Ruth Reed?
It says Mary Reed. This is probably, okay, it's Ruth Reed.
Yes, my name is Kevin Reed. I'm her son.
Okay. I know you filed a petition or some type of, there we go, document. You want to just explain situation?
Sure. My mother passed away on July 6th of 2023. And my brother and I went through all of her records and such, and we were only able, excuse me, we were only able to find a copy of her will, not the original. And going through her estate, going through her financial accounts and such, we've been able to rectify and correct or whatever, be able to close them out, except for one account through Wells Fargo. It's a brokerage account, and they won't accept, or the brokerage account will not accept, a copy of the will. And we're just asking the commission to accept a copy, and that we can get whatever necessary paperwork to be able to submit to this brokerage firm to be able to close that out. Everything has been finalized. She didn't own any real estate. It was just retirement accounts and such.
Everybody was served, all the beneficiaries. Does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to make a motion to accept the copy of the will?
Accept the copy of the will, Madam President.
Motion's been made to accept the copy of the will, and I guess any document needs to be, order needs to be signed. Okay. Okay, Mr. Reed, we, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay, we will prepare the order, and you can get with the county clerk's office and see what you need to do next.
I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you.
You got it. Good day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Number 11. Review, discuss, consider potential purchase of parking lots adjacent to courthouse, potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which, if made public, might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county. What's the pleasure? Somebody? No, you can't.
Parking lots.
For the three parking lots behind the courthouse here on Washington Avenue. The ones we happen to get a lot of complaints about those, so we've been trying to work with the owners that are out of state to see if we could try to get something worked out for us to purchase those parking lots.
Madam Administrator, let me make the motion, we allow you to receive $450,000 and list them on the record. I don't want.
Message received.
Okay, the motion's been made to make the offer of $450,000 for the purchase of the parking lots on Washington Avenue. Is there any discussion?
I'm curious why we're purchasing them. They for county use or public use, city of Clarksburg use? What are we spending our money?
Well, I just want to be honest, I see it as an opportunity. I don't know, well, there's 3 parking lots and what we do with all 3 of them, surely, even if somehow, some way out of 2 out of 3, we rented spaces, this could actually pay for itself over time. And keep it simple, keep it very simple.
The discussions that we've had is turning one into an employee parking lot. We still have about 20, Gary left, 20 some employees still on the list to look at getting into our parking lot. So having one as an employee parking lot, the other one as a paid parking lot for those that come downtown to do their business. So then that way they have somewhere to park without getting fined out the wazoo. Also did talk to the city of Clarksburg about them helping us monitor and everything. So we'd work hand in hand with each other.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't mind one of those being an employee parking lot, but 2 of them, let it recover and pay for itself, that way the debt's paying for itself over time. You're reimbursing yourself. Work it as a business, that way when it's paid off, it actually be profit and commissions.
Well, I just put this out there. The employees pay to park now, so,
Yeah. So,
and I think it could be dual public and for the employee. What?
yeah,
It's all
I think you
public.
get both, that's it. And I don't care if our employees pay to park or not, that's true. We have enough for everybody to park, that's another discussion, but as far as this parking lot's concerned, I think it's a business opportunity for us and gives the relief to our elderly that do not know how to use that parking lot and are being punished because they do not know how to. Not calling bait. Just horror stories.
Along with the businesses here, especially on Court Street, the people that call in complaining how, they've lost customers, they've just had such a hard time with the parking behind there. This definitely has been something that I've been passionate about to help out the community, and thank you.
Any further discussion?
Just one comment. Would you consider amending your motion to make it subject to due diligence acceptable to the Harrison County Commission? This is a real estate investment trust that owns this property, so I just want to make sure that everything is good to go.
The motion amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we don't want to buy it. And be stuck with a big old bill. Okay,
Are we going to require any testing of the property?
that could be,
So my recommendation would be to go to the seller and see what they have in their files from a disclosure perspective before you all spend money on testing, to get copies of any environmental testing which they've had performed prior to their fairly recent acquisition of these parcels. Given that it's owned by a real estate investment trust, I believe they probably have a pretty substantial due diligence file, which would be the starting point for the transaction. My main concerns relate to clear title because of how they hold the assets and the structure of their umbrella of entities and making sure that you all acquire title insurance when you do close on the transaction. But certainly, Commissioner, we'll make that request as a starting point.
That could be part of the due diligence as in the motion.
Certainly.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Motion carried. Number 12, review, discuss, consider updated agreement with CSX potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition which, if made public, might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county. What's a pleasure? Or does somebody want to speak?
I'm just making a motion to let the county administrator continue to proceed with the obtaining of the property.
I believe Trey has some background information.
Yeah, can I approach you all? So at the last meeting, the commission raised a question about 1 foot of asphalt paving on the rail trail section. So what we did is we went back to CSX and we asked to change the language to make it read a minimum thickness of 1 foot consisting of a project specific asphalt pavement material, sub-base material, and indicator level layer, pardon me. And that was to give meaning to the 1 foot. And that really puts it in the county commission's court as to how it creates the 1 foot thickness. But again, that was done at the request of the commission. At this point, I would request that you all vote on and approve the addendum. The plan is to, assuming you all approve it, get it to CSX today, and then we close on this transaction on Friday.
Great. So the motion is made, is to approve the addendum and affix the proper signature, correct? Any discussion?
yeah, I'm still want to make sure I understand that we're not going to be responsible for paving that spur. I don't see where it carves that out.
Yes, that's in the language above. It's in the preface to the 1 foot definition now. We are agreeing that we shall have graded, installed, and constructed on all parts and parcels conveyed that are used for recreational purposes in asphalt cap, and then it goes into the definition. And that's really up to the commission. If the commission does not use the spur for a recreational purpose under the language, it would not have an obligation to pave with an asphalt cap that portion of the trail. And that was done on purpose, as we talked about at the last meeting, so the commission would not have to pay the spur.
So it'll be up to us to make sure people don't use it.
I would envision the commission would want to put signage, perhaps a fence or a barrier, a practical control device to keep people from going north on the spur. But from the beginning, CSX has only been willing to go through with this transaction if the county takes both the east to west portion of the trail as well as the spur to the north. They have absolutely refused every overture to carve that out. We tried.
Anything else?
No, I'll just voice my opinion again that we should have done a phase 3. We don't know what we're purchasing in the way of environmental issues. We don't know what we're going to pay to get this all done. And we're excited to commit the county's taxpayers to millions of dollars without knowing the final cost.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Okay, motion carried. You have,
So the one thing I have is Friday, we talked about having another budget meeting work session. And I just want to put it out there that if commission would like, we can make it a special meeting instead of a work session. So should any changes you make today or whatever you think can be finalized on Friday, we can go ahead and make it a special session. And even if it's not finalized on Friday, we can go ahead and have another meeting next week. But I just want to know the direction. Do you want a work session or a special session?
What do you guys think?
Special session. We can get it
Okay.
done and voted. We can get it done and voted.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Treehouse?
No, me.
I have nothing. Mr. Hinkle?
No.
Entertain a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?